This week, the Western Cape High Court heard an application to evict homeless individuals living at 7 sites in central Cape Town. It was reported earlier this year the city applied for eviction notices to be served on people at various unlawful occupations. However, the Socio-Economic Rights Institute of South Africa, SERI, representing the people living on the streets, says the safe space option is not a long-term solution to the problem. They also state that it is not a reasonable alternative. Well, let's get more perspective on this, and we're joined by Khuselwa Dyantyi, legal practitioner of the Socio-Economic Rights Institute of South Africa. Khuselwa, appreciate your time this evening. Let's just talk firstly about, paint a picture of these sites where these homeless individuals are living and where the city of Cape Town has petitioned to have them thrown out. And secondly, what sort of numbers of homeless people are we looking at?
Thank you, Hugo, and thank you for having me this evening. So as SERI, we represent 7 sites that were cited in the eviction application that was heard last week on Monday and Tuesday. So when they brought this eviction application, the city, they managed to get about 117 households in all the 7 sites. And we only got involved, or we were asked by the unlawful occupiers to represent them in this matter, which was supposed to be heard on the 19th of April. So when we consulted with them, we also managed to get the number that was above the 114 households. And again, we had another meeting with the city to ensure that we consult with almost all the occupiers that were cited on those 7 sites. So the total that we came up to 271 households. And that number alone, it doesn't reflect all the occupiers that are on those 7 sites. Because of the nature of the transient nature of the occupiers, when you go and consult, sometimes you won't find the occupiers in their homes. So that is the number now that is before the court. So what is the issue now is that when the city brought this eviction application, they offered the occupiers with an alternative accommodation, which is the safe spaces. And the safe spaces, most of them, I think the 2 safe spaces found in the CBD of the city of Cape Town, it's under the bridge. It's an open space. It's a dormitory style, and most of these occupiers, they live with their partners, and at least 7 households, they have children. And those safe spaces do not accommodate families or children. So this is one of the issues that we had to raise, and to say that you cannot have a plan of safe spaces if you want to prevent homelessness, because even on their policies, they say that the safe spaces could only accommodate people not longer than 6 months, which is a temporal solution. And we want the city of Cape Town to, at least when they want to prevent homelessness, they must also come up with a permanent solution.
Khuselwa, describe the homes that you speak of where they are being asked to move from at the moment, please. So
in all the 7 sites, people, they have built their homes. It's either they use plastics or cardboards. It's not a home that will describe as a brick and mortar, because these people, they cannot afford anyways to even have to build their homes in that type of nature. So their homes are built out of cardboards and tents.
Now, you've described that the homeless individuals are not happy with moving to some of these areas, and that's because they do not accommodate those that have families, for instance. What are some of the other objections that you've listened to and the state of living that has been described by these homeless individuals in the city of Cape Town?
So remember, the safe spaces are like shelters. They still have lockout rules, even though in the case of Dladla versus City of Johannesburg, the lockout rules and the segregation of families was found unconstitutional. The safe spaces in the City of Cape Town still apply those kind of rules. When you go there, you go as an individual. You're not allowed to come as a family. And our clients, the people that we're representing, they live under those conditions because they want to be closer to the inner city, because that's where they make their livelihood. That's where they make their living. By some of them, they collect recycled material and sell. Some of them, they work as car guards. When there are events around the inner city, they assist by doing the car guard or doing car wash. So if now you take them away from where they make a living, it's an issue. And when you go, if they take these safe spaces, there is a concern that says that if you come back after 8 o'clock, you won't be allowed to come back in, which is something that one of the concerns they raised with us. And I don't think it's something that could be allowed, because they are out there to make a living. And if this is their home where they currently live, they come and go as they wish, and they know what is the suitable time for them to go and look for work within the inner city. And if their safe spaces do not provide such protection, I don't think it's something that they should be, forced to take.
So what are the legal and human rights issues that are at play in this case, especially concerning the rights of homeless individuals and the responsibilities of the government?
I mean, we all know that, the issue of lack of affordable housing within the inner cities is the issue that we all have in South Africa, not only in the city of Cape Town, in Johannesburg as well. So the lack of affordable housing in the inner city is the reason why you would find people living in such conditions. And should the city provide people with affordable housing within the city, that will prevent people living under the conditions that we find the homeless people are living under currently. And also the issue of having, when you don't have housing, we have to now to be subjected to take the safe spaces which do not afford the same security that the small house that you build on those pavements provide. I think if they can, as a temporal measure, look at their safe spaces and revised the way they are structured, I think, so that they can accommodate the families, the children, and also give individuals that sense of privacy. The safe spaces would be something that can, be accepted as a temporal measure, while the city is trying to find a permanent solution in terms of the housing crisis that they have.
Now, Khuselwa, you've been offering legal representation to these homeless individuals. What is your argument, or the basis of your argument?
Like I said, SERI represent most of the clients that are facing evictions. And when there is a case whereby the eviction, in terms of our constitution, doesn't provide alternative accommodation as per our constitution, I think there is one of the arguments that we brought before the High Court in Cape Town, is that Section 26 of the Constitution protects all those who live in their homes, and if someone wants to evict them, they first have to approach the court. And in terms of our laws now, when someone evicts a person, they must first obtain the court order. And if that person is not even a private owner, is the state entity, they have an obligation to ensure that when the person is being evicted, a suitable alternative accommodation is provided. Now, what is suitable alternative accommodation entails? First of all, you have to look where the person is being evicted from, what the person, the reason the person was in that position from the beginning, and you have to make sure that when you evict, or the city in this position, when they provide with the alternative accommodation, it must be an alternative accommodation that will improve the lives of those that are facing homelessness.
Now let's talk about long-term solutions or plans being discussed to address the issue of housing in Cape Town. I mean, obviously this problem is not going to go away overnight. Are there long-term plans?
I mean, this case alone, because it's not the case that we normally would defend. This is a different case because, first of all, we've never had this case. I think the city of Cape Town, it was also one of the very first cases of evicting homeless people. So when they argued the issue of providing alternative accommodation for our clients, there is the EHP, the Emergency Housing Program, where I think it kind of direct the city on how they should come up with the plans of providing housing to the people that need housing. So in this case, we would say that in terms of the city providing the permanent housing for these current unlawful occupiers, they have also to look at the emergency housing plan. And I'll say at this stage, they said that the city stated that our clients do not qualify to be assisted in terms of that emergency housing plan, because the kind of work that they do, they move around a lot, so they cannot be put in a permanent housing housing solution. So in this case alone, I think for the city of Cape Town, it will be a test case for them on how the people should be provided permanent housing solution within the city, because most of the time the municipalities, when they provide permanent housing, it always either be 30 kilometers away from the city, 30 kilometers away from where people make their livelihood, which means now that you can provide me with this shelter, but I won't be able to put food on the table because I have to just remain in the house that you've given me, and I won't be able to continue with the work that I was doing in the inner city. So one of the issues that the city must look at is to try and find housing that is not far away from the inner city, because this is where people they make their livelihood.
Khuselwa Dyantyi is a legal practitioner at the Socio-Economic Rights Institute of South Africa. Appreciate your time. Thanks for speaking to us.